It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege and honor to interview one of my friends, Deb Whitcas, who is a sports reporter.
Hi, how's everybody
How are
doing?
you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start in your long journey of being a sports reporter?
Absolutely. You know what? I actually started in media early. I was 12 years old when I started in general, in show business, and that led me to being a TV producer. And I've been doing that for a while now. I won't give a full many years there, but then recently, I've always been a big sports girl. My dad played minors for the Philadelphia Phillies back in the day, and he also was a professional bowler. So I kind of got my love of sports from him. Kind of grew up in stadiums, watching the Phillies play, watching the Eagles play in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And and the last couple of years, and also too, sports was always an escape from Hollywood for me. And then the last couple of years, I just realized that this is really what I want to focus on. So I've been pivoting from a TV production career to sports reporting, I would say the last 3 years. And it's been an absolute blast. And it's definitely what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Of course, what was it like, obviously, as you said, being in the TV production and working with popular shows such as Dr. Phil, Divorce Courts, and so forth?
It's great. Every show, I've done about 30 shows now in my career. Everyone's different. Everyone's a great crew. There isn't really one I would go back to and say that I didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? Everything kind of builds as the more you do. Dr. Phil, great experience. Learned a lot there. Was there for 3 years, and it's great to work for the #1 talk show. Dr. Phil's such a huge name and such a huge persona. And actually, I liked helping people as well. So that was something that was special there as well. Divorce court, kind of the same thing. We were kind of mediating people's relationships. Sometimes super funny. But also helping, mediate that as well.
Of course, how does it feel to be a 2-time Emmy winner as a producer?
Great. I mean, it's honestly, they're saying it's an honor to be nominated. It's even more fun to win. But it's special because it's the Academy and it's your peers that you're working with that are watching your work and nominating and picking the winners. So when you win an Emmy, it's your peers basically saying great job. So that's why I love that.
What was that transition like for me from going from being a producer to a sideline reporter and getting into sports?
It was interesting, and it's unique. I'm finding out that this is not something that pretty much anybody has done, and which is great because it feels like it's opened a lot of doors for me that I wouldn't obviously, otherwise have. I think that the winning the 2 Emmys prior to making the pivot has really helped me in the pivot to, becoming a sideline reporter and a sports reporter. I think people take me a little bit more seriously and know that I'm tough as nails and that I really want to do this. And it also helps that I know sports really well, particularly football, NFL football, college football. So I think when you have the combination of the accolades plus the knowledge, you can talk about it. There's a certain respect there.
How was it like, obviously, when you went to the Vegas INC and became a reporter for them?
The draft?
Mm-hmm.
The draft was so special. I was actually there for a week. I went a little bit early just to prep, and it was great. I worked with the sports website I work with called the Skyboat. It's a nonprofit web sports news website benefiting military veterans. So that's always, a great time or, something special. The draft was great. I got to walk on the magenta red carpet and got the opportunity to go to all the media events. And Vegas was pumped. they were super excited, to have the draft there. Everything was colorful and the energy was hyped, and just to see everything that people set up for this for a while. And then the day of, to have all the fans there, and they had the NFL experience was there. You had to think about it. One of my cameraman was like, "Deb, this isn't even a game, and look how many people are here." And I was like, "No, this is awesome." And just to see the draft picks have their dreams come true that day was also very special. I was in all of the media interviews and got to talk with a few of the guys, right after they came off stage.
What was that feeling like? As you said, you got to talk with them right after they got drafted and their future started as a professional athlete.
I mean, it was great. One of my favorites, Ike Iguanu, I actually got to speak with him at the Super Bowl, at the gifting suite for the Super Bowl. It's called a Luxury Experience and Company. So I interviewed him on the red carpet about the draft and him, possibly getting drafted. Obviously, he was going to get drafted. He went number 6 in the first round. But there was actually speculation that he might go number 1. That didn't happen, obviously. But it was great to talk with him at Super Bowl in February and hear how excited he was, and his family was going to be there, and what I think we talked about what he was going to eat or what he was going to celebrate with or something, and then to also be able to talk with him during the draft right after he got picked. That was a great moment. And he's from North Carolina. He's from Nigeria, I believe, actually, but he lives in North Carolina with his family, and then he went to North Carolina. So the fact that he got picked by the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, he was just on cloud 9.
We're talking about the Super Bowl. What was that experience like, going to the Super Bowl and covering it as a sideline reporter?
Sure. So I actually didn't cover it as a sideline reporter. I covered it as a sports writer. I will one day cover it as a sideline reporter. I'm not quite there yet, but it was great. Writing about it and being there. This is actually my 5th Super Bowl that I've been at. I've covered the last 2, writing. I did get to interview everybody at the gifting suite, though, the Super Bowl gifting suite. So I got to, talk on the red carpet with everybody for that. So I did some sideline reporting there. If it was sideline, it was definitely reporting. I don't know about sideline, but
Of course, how is this Super Bowl in LA different from all the previous Super Bowls that you covered?
So the LA Super Bowl was different because I think I was more involved. I mean, I've lived here the last, 20 something years of my life. And I know a lot of people both in Hollywood and in sports. And it was interesting to watch kind of everything come together. I was invited to 15 events during Super Bowl week, and I did my darndest to get to every single one. So that was, an amazing experience. I did not sleep that week at all. I maybe had like 10 hours of sleep the entire week. I wouldn't change it for a thing, though. So that was a little different, just to be, normally when I go to Super Bowl, it's Thursday to Monday, where this was literally, things started on Monday or Tuesday and it went till Monday, and I was nonstop. So that was different. The Miami Super Bowl, I did some things on the red carpet there. Miami was very spread out. But Tampa was different because it was COVID. So there was a lot of COVID protocols that we all had to adhere to. We all wore our media wristbands to get into places. We all had to wear masks. And there was I actually watched the game in the convention center and was able to write from the convention center that year. So that's the difference.
What does the process look like for applying for Media Pass to do something such as the Super Bowl?
So normally, whichever news outlet that you are with, puts in for media credentials for you. Normally the news director does that. And that's the case for the Super Bowl. Like I said, these, nonprofit sports website that I work with, they put in for my credentials for the Super Bowl and so forth. Usually they put in, sometimes I put in for some of the NFL ones, just to do NFL regular games, but they do it for the Super Bowl, and they also did it for the draft.
How is it like, obviously, getting to cover the XFL in 2020?
I absolutely adore the XFL. I'm a big spring league girl. That was actually my very first experience professionally in a press box and being able to be on the field and to report from the field and to interview, professional football players. And it was great. Everyone in the press box was so much fun and easy to talk to. Everybody there was doing their job, but still having a good time because it was XFL. It was something new. The fans were having a blast. The guys were great. These guys are either coming up from college and wanting to be in the NFL, or were in the NFL and aren't anymore and are trying to get back in. So XFL was just something, and I keep on saying the word special, but it was. And there was just an energy there that I have not matched yet. Literally, when the XFL was canceled, I cried for 2 weeks because I was like, "This was my big break." But I'm excited to have XFL 3.0 come back. I hopefully will be involved. I've been trying. If anybody out there knows how I can, let me know at Sport Report Deb. No, yeah, so I actually have some feelers out for the current XFL 3.0, and hopefully I will be a part of that.
Of course, as the XFL folded in 2020, what was it like getting to work with the USFL?
USFL was also great. I love the South. Everyone's so nice, and I was actually shocked because I got credentials to go down to Birmingham, and I was able to get down there for a weekend. And I think it was week 6 that I covered. Everybody was so nice and so accommodating. And you would think the USFL would, there would be like media everywhere, and it's Fox Sports. So, there'd be people everywhere. The press box, there wasn't many people, and there wasn't many people in the pressers after. So I kind of got to ask as many questions as I wanted to. So that was a great time. And I honestly wish I lived there, because I would have went to every single game and completely followed the league if I could have. And now that, as you guys see, there's a ton of the USFL players that are now being signed to NFL teams. Like Kyle Slaughter just played yesterday. He was the quarterback. They played the Hall of Fame game last night. So it was exciting to see him play in Birmingham and now know that he's back on the NFL squad. And it was exciting to see him play in NFL again last night.
Of course, what was it like in the USFL seeing all those teams play all at one time in one stadium versus obviously in the XFL and even in the NFL traveling to multiple stadiums?
I have to say it was exhausting. You're watching 3 or 4 games in a day. So that's a lot of brain power. That's a lot of names. It's a lot of roster names that you have to know and positions. And so, yeah, it was tiring. Super fun and great because different games had different energy. But it was a lot to take in for an entire weekend. You watched it was like 8 games. You watched 8 games in a weekend, basically, which is a lot to write about or to take notes on and be creative if you write something. But I wouldn't trade it for the people that I met, and everybody was super, super nice and grateful, and people were excited I was there, which was nice. So we'd love to do it again.
Of course, as you've covered the NFL, the XFL, and the USFL, what are some of the similarities and differences between all 3 leagues?
NFL is definitely, obviously, the top guy. Obviously, let's be honest. NFL, there's a little bit more, things are a little bit more serious, I guess. The press box is very quiet. You can hear a pin drop. Even when there's touchdowns, it's like no one, it's like, oh, that just happened, and everyone's writing and doing their jobs. So I find NFL press boxes to be very serious. Whereas USFL, they're all serious. It's all professional football, let's be honest. But XFL wasn't as, I guess, quiet and focused. And USFL people were focused, but yeah, it was a little bit more. It was quiet because there wasn't a ton of people in there. Whereas the NFL, it's completely packed, but still really, really quiet.
What were some of your favorite memories and moments covering this previous Super Bowl?
I got to interview the VP of player personnel, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but I got to interview him. the day actually before the Super Bowl. So he had just left their last practice, and came straight to the event, the gifting suite that I was at, and I got to have a great conversation with him. And I actually found out I was his very first interview he's ever done with media. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "No, I loved it. That was great." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So yeah, it was great to have a Rams, representative there, and someone who's so close to the players, and asked him how practice went, and what their thoughts were for tomorrow, what they're strategizing. So it was a fun interview. So I think that was probably my favorite moment. I also got to do so I met with the Townsend brothers. They're both punters, Johnny and Tommy. So Tommy plays for Kansas City, and Tommy's he's a free agent, and they gave me a punting lesson, and it was so much fun because the ball went behind me when I tried to kick it, and everybody just started laughing. I was laughing, they were laughing. It was just a really good time.
Of course, who are some of the notable people that you've interviewed in your career?
I have to say the top interview I've ever done, and I might ever do, Pete Rose. I mean, the man should be in the Hall of Fame. I come from a baseball background. He was on the Philadelphia Phillies. So him and Mike Schmidt are like my idols. So talking with him and interviewing him was, I mean, I'm still in shock that I was able to do it. And the most special part about it was before the interview, I had gotten prepped. I had written my questions, and, I did several hours in the morning, kind of took it some chill time, and made sure I was early on the podcast, the interview. And it was supposed to be, there was three interviewers who were going to be talking with Pete. And I got on like 15 minutes early. And it just so happens that Pete was on too. And I was like, oh my God, and nobody else was on it. So it was literally just him and I talking. And I thank God I had watched the Phillies game the night before, because I could talk to him about something. And like, obviously we weren't filming. So like, it was just like, I was just sitting there BSing with Pete Rose. And it was his birthday too. It was his 80th birthday, which was great. So that will stick out in my mind forever. It's like, there I was just like BSing with Pete Rose. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
So. Of course, who is your notablest interview that you've had so far?
Was notable? I mean, besides Pete Rose, I had a blast with Rob Gronkowski. I mean, he's just such a powerhouse, and one of the best tight ends in the league. Beasley Reese, I spoke with him. He's the CEO of the NFL alumni. Also, Rod Woodson. I've actually interviewed him twice now. He's just great. And I'm hoping to interview him with the XFL as well once all that gets started. Hall of Fame player, Steelers. I mean, he's just a great guy. So I've also interviewed Terrell Owens, Terrell Davis. Who else? So yeah, no, Eddie George, love him. Peanut Tillman, some great guys.
Of course, as you've interviewed so many Hall of Famers and so many legends, how do you go about getting these people such as Rob Gronkowski?
You know what? I'm just always looking for the next opportunity, and I'm always sending out request, and this person knows this person who knows this person who can get me an interview. I'm all about networking, and that's how I get all of my interviews, as well as having media credentials. That helps as well. In my book, everybody's somebody, everybody has a story. So I just make sure to keep my networking fresh, and and see, always kind of put out there what I'm doing, and it kind of just comes full circle.
Who are some of your dream interviews that you would love to land?
Who I'd love to interview?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm an Eagles fan, so like Randall Cunningham, McNabb, Brandon Graham. I would love to interview. I think I talked to him for hours. Jason Kelsey. Derrick Henry. I'd love to sit down with. Tom Brady. I mean, any of the quarterbacks. I mean, Russell Wilson would be great. Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, like those are kind of on my list right now. My ultimate dream and goal is to be the sideline reporter when the Eagles win their next Super Bowl.
Of course, who would be a dream coach that you would love to interview?
You know what? I love Peterson. It was interesting last night where on the Jag, now that he's coaching the Jags, they like popped up Eagles stats, and I was like, why did they just do that? Like, that was weird. Peterson, I think of anybody else. I mean, Sirianni, I would love to talk with. God, I mean, to be honest, any Ron Rivera, I love him. I think he's a great coach. Dable would be great. Really, I mean, any of the coaches, I'm down.
What is something that you learn now that you didn't know before getting into sports reporting?
You know what? I didn't know it was going to be this much fun. It's hard, but I'm having so much fun with the process. I didn't think it was going to be like, I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't think it was going to be hard and fun. And that's what it's been. I don't mind working hard. As long as I'm having fun doing it. And it's definitely been more of a surprise. Like everybody in sports is so nice and, you know, how can I help you? Whereas I'm used to Hollywood, it being the complete opposite, where people are like, not against you, but like people want to keep their jobs and like they're gonna like, you know, throw you under the bus to keep that job if need be. So, but in sports, everyone has been really very accommodating, and you know, I have other sideline reporters and other sports reporters who are making phone calls for me and trying to mentor me and to help me out. And that just would never happen. That would never happen in Hollywood.
Of course, what are some of your future plans in the business of sports reporting?
Ultimately, I want to be a sports reporter / sideline reporter for Fox Sports or ESPN, CBS Sports, somewhere there. So I'm just right now taking the steps to get there. Like I have the eye on the prize, and you know, whatever I have to do to get there is what I'm going to do.
What advice would you give people looking to start covering the XFL, USFL, and the NFL?
Guys, just go for it. If it's something that you want to do and you're passionate about, just go for it. Reach out to some of your favorite websites. Ask and see if you could cover for them, or you can cover some stories for them. Start your own podcast. I mean, everyone right now has a podcast. Go, you know, and it's kind of what I did in the beginning. Just go and see if people will interview, and just go from there. If this is something you're passionate about, just kind of start on your own and get in the mindset of being a reporter or being, you know, in sports media, and, you know, and manifest it. Basically what I did. So
what advice would you give people such as myself who has a podcast that have interviewed professional athletes looking to get started in the industry of the NFL and stuff?
Just honestly, just keep doing what you're doing, and things will get there. LinkedIn is another good avenue. I've having a podcast and having the credentials that I've had, I'm able to reach out to people who work in the NFL and connect with them on LinkedIn. That's kind of how I got some interviews with NFL. Yeah, you just have to go for it, and don't back down. Don't let the insecurities get in your way, and just go for your dream.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
I am at Sport Report Deb on both IG and Twitter, and I will be actually doing a TikTok soon too. So I will be fully around the social medias. So my handle is at Sport Report Deb.
Thank you again, Deb Whitcas, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as a sports reporter.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Deb Whitcas, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.